You are welcome along to the latest episode in the series of Huddle Breakdown interviews, and I am thrilled. By myself, Alan is traveling. He's in Australia, as our viewers know, visiting family, but I'm home alone today, interviewing Ted Knutson, who, Ted, this is like us getting the Godfather. Normally at the end of our podcast, when we interview people, I welcome people to what we call the spreadsheet shagger community. And, you're like one of the deities on Mount Rushmore of the spreadsheet shaggers. So this is this is an incredible, exciting interview for us to bring to our.
That's quite the phrase, by the way. The deities on
shagger?
Mount Rushmore of spreadsheet shaggers.
Yeah, you'll get all kinds of incoherent dribble from me. But so Ted has part of the reason why I'm really excited to talk about Ted is he really is a unique individual. Given his background, his biography, and then kind of his career path. So I'm going to delve into a lot of that here shortly, but I want to give a proper introduction. So Ted was co-founder of StatsBomb, which our audience here is Alan and I talk about all the time as far as high quality data and modeling and that kind of stuff. He exited StatsBomb not too long ago and has set up a newsletter that he does called Transfer Flow. Encourage everyone to subscribe. It's free. They do a lot of things on analysis. It's analytics, all spreadsheet shagging for the most part. So it's real high quality content. He also set up Variance Incorporated, and he has a newsletter that he puts out for people that are degenerates like me that trade and gamble. Fellow degenerate, Ted, I know. I say that tongue in cheek. But anyway, academic background, graduated from University of Oklahoma. I think you dabbled a little bit in academia, maybe thought about PhD for a while.
I did some PhD work and then used all the stats stuff in the rest of my life. So I bailed out of that to do some tech stuff because it was the tech boom at the time, and it seemed like it was a much more lucrative space to be in than graduate school.
100%. Yeah, our kind of pathways. What year did you graduate from Oklahoma?
98.
98. So I'm a 97 graduate. And I'm not going to bore you with talking about Jamal Holiday and Keith Jackson memories from the 80s or the triple option wishbone. So maybe we'll get into the analytics on that when we talk about some of the NFL stuff in a second. But Ted spent some time at Pinnacle, which is are they an actual a bookmaker, or are they a syndicate trying to make money off of bookmaking, or were they when the time you were there?
They were always bookmakers. Always
the bookmakers. Okay. Good. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with the gambling sphere as a business, so forgive my ignorance. You can follow him on Twitter. One of my favorite longtime Twitter handles, Mixed Nuts. That's KNUNTS. So welcome, Ted. I know that's probably the worst introduction you've ever had, but we have to stick with our brand. So if I could just jump right in, my first question is a selfish one, because I kind of entered the football analytics space in an unconventional way, having spent 2 decades at the time in kind of financial market analytics, and also living the life of someone who, as an American, went through kind of the sports industry revolutions in baseball and then basketball. I think we're probably the first two in the sports that I was a fan of. So I almost had a cheat code in a sense. And so I kind of went into this cauldron of Glasgow football with, Celtic and Rangers in 2018 into 2019. So needless to say, you get 2 American guys with American accents talking about how people should play football. I mean, what could be more obnoxious and ridiculous? So I'm thinking, who's better to talk to than the guy who kind of came up as the pioneer in being an American a-hole trying to teach the British how to play their own sport, or worse yet, the Scottish who invented the damn thing. So what was your life experience like coming up? I know, you kind of luck into things through life. And I suspect you can speak to a little bit about this, how you ended up at Pinnacle doing English Premier League as kind of a focus when you've been doing, I read Japanese baseball. And so it's not like you were born to be, an English Premier League analytics guy, as these things oftentimes in life. So what was that like, and what's it been like? Because you've had this very unique path culturally in getting to where you're at?
I think I read Moneyball in about 2004, 2005, somewhere in there. And I immediately, so I've been a soccer fan since 1998. 1998 World Cup was basically when I was graduating from university. I had the summer, I wasn't off, but I was working late nights at UPS loading trucks to Tulsa, which was brutal. And so
I did the same job at RPS
wow.
that same summer. I'm not kidding.
That's
eerie, but go ahead.
We were dying, like, because these truck beds would heat up during the daytime. Anyway, so I did a lot of hard, shitty jobs in my history. And this particular time, though, I was covering Magic the Gathering and traveling around and writing about it and running a website for it. And that's like a totally different set of stories. But some friends of mine were doing some sports betting. And at some point I read Moneyball and I was like, I love soccer. Like, I know that this would be applicable. Let me look for stats on this, because like I could see what's happening in the baseball space. And the only thing that I could find was like a number that was like the Opta index number or something. And they like quantified all the players as like this particular number. You couldn't find any other detailed data. I was like, well, this is ridiculous. And so I started to try and like goof around with it at the World Cup in like 2006, I think. And start to collect my own data a little bit. And that was really hard because, like, I didn't have software. I didn't realize like the levels that it could be automated to. But then my focus really became gambling. And I built products at Pinnacle, basically from 2007 to 2014. I built across so many different sports, basically changed how the world bets on sports. We started doing live betting in 2008, and mostly the same way that people live bet things now. So a long time ago, and it made the company much more profitable. I made some money, but most of the money flowed to the owners. And
how these things work, right, Ted?
Yeah. And I was so much more naive back then. So yes, but like we did a really good job, and it's a fascinating story, and I'm proud of, and also it was exciting to do at the time. So whenever you tell people this, they're like, whoa, that's like really cool. Tell me more. So it's a fun way to open the door. But it was just like gambling. And so like I ended up rebuilding the soccer department. And then within the first couple of months, took over the Premier League trading there, because we just didn't have anybody that was more experienced. And I was a big passionate soccer fan at the time. And we lost for our first 2.5 months that we did that, as sort of this group of Magic players that I hired behind me. And then from that point forward, we never lost again.
Well, so I think this was, you were based in London or somewhere in England?
I was based in Curacao. So I was based off the coast of the Netherlands, coast of Venezuela, Netherlands, Antilles. And I ended up hiring about 30 Magic players, so professional gamers, that come trade these sports. And then I got sick at one point, and I decided to look back into the soccer data. And so 2013, I was like, Who Scored existed. And I have detailed soccer data for the first time ever. And I was going through chemo and I couldn't work. And I was like, well, this is a good way to spend my time while I'm barely functional. And so I started writing about soccer stats. And I did that for about 1.5 years, and came to the attention of a guy named Matthew Benham. And he met me at lunch one time, and we hated the same people in the gambling industry, which is really funny. And he wanted to change how they recruited at Brentford, because he's like, look, we can't have 50 scouts all over the world. Like, we need to do something different. And so that became my first inroads into professional football, at least at the team level.
So I think, working then, and I didn't know you were in Curacao. So once you move to the UK then and start working within an environment ensconced in the culture, that's what I'm trying to get to, is this point when you start interacting with the actual culture of football.
We hope you enjoyed this free preview from all of us here at the Huddle Breakdown. We know you have options, and we really appreciate you tuning in. To hear the rest of this episode, and for much more Huddle Breakdown content, head on over to www.huddlebreakdown.com. We hope you consider subscribing. Thank you.